make money online thing or whatever. I don't even remember. I think I was like 11 years old, something like that. I don't know, 11 years old, right? So how it's basically started was that I had a YouTube channel, all right? So it was a gaming YouTube channel or something like that. I don't know, right? And the thing is that I used to post gaming videos per se, not gaming videos exactly. They were like videos on how to mod things and stuff, right? Those mod APK and those kind of stuff. So I used to post videos on that, and I kind of succeeded because like and because of that, I wouldn't say succeeded, but yeah, it gave me that proof that this internet money is a real thing. So what happened was I started this when I was in class 6, which was in 2018. All right. So I started this in 2018, and what ended up happening was 2 years later, I there was lockdown. So there was 2020, and there was lockdown. All right. So what happened that for 2 years I used to post. I didn't really get much of anything, but I was just so obsessed with YouTube. I thought I'm gonna be the next Mr. Beast. All right. I thought I'm gonna be the next Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast aspirations. Mr. Beast aspiration. Right. Mr. Beast aspiration. Yeah, whatever the fuck. Right. So you get the point. All right, very good at writing. So I want to be like the Mr. Beast, whatever the fuck. So I tried doing it, and obviously it didn't really work. I used to get some views here and there, but I don't think I had crossed my 1,000 subscribers to get actually monetized. But what ended up happening in the middle of 2019 was I got my first gaming computer, and just like everybody else, I got it for school project purposes. All right, so it was decently powerful. In fact, it had i9, 2019. All right, so this had a i9 chip, right? So this had sorry, my bad. This has i7 chip, 8 gen, and this had a 1050 Ti, and it had 8 GB RAM. Okay. So this is the computer I got, and obviously, as you might have known, that when I got this computer, I didn't have a computer before that. I used to do everything on my phone. It kind of opened up a lot of possibilities for me because this was a lot more powerful, obviously, than a bloody phone. And so I just started posting a lot more. And what happened that, and then also lockdown hit in 2020. So this plus the lockdown, I ended up kind of going, I wouldn't say viral, but yeah, for that stage, I ended up going viral. I ended up getting like 8,000 subs and like, I don't know, 1 million plus views in total, something like that, right? Now the reason was the reason why I had very less subscribers despite having high number of views is because I my content was mostly like search based. So it was not like browse feature kind of content like this channel is. It was most like mostly like search based kind of content or different like games and how to do this, how to do that in different games, that kind of stuff, right? So I got that, but because of this everything like this combined, what happened was I kind of got monetized. Not kind of, I actually got monetized. I ended up making $100, something like that. I think $100 in about a year. All right, because the views were really less. Like I used to get like few hundred to like maximum like 1,000 or 1,500 kind of views. So obviously I didn't make a lot of money, but I saw for the first time that okay, this internet money thing is actually real. So since then I just wanted to just make it happen, and I didn't understand what to do. So I tried a lot of things. Like long story short, I'll be talking about this in the next video, which is gonna be how I tried e-commerce and whatever. But I'll just give you a small context as to understand why I did this. So I basically had a proof that this thing works, and this is why trying early just makes sense. Because if you just try early and if you put in the hours, then you're gonna get results. And once you get results, you basically reinforce your belief that if you just do this for long enough, you are going to succeed. All right. So the thing is that once this happened, fast forward to I'll tell the next like the rest of the story in the next video because I'm gonna just record it simultaneously because I'm gonna be out for a trip and I don't really wanna miss out on upload, so I'm just gonna record it in batch, right? So it's gonna be in the next video in detail the long story for this. But basically, long story short, what happened was when I was in my high school, I started e-commerce, all right, and I had this proof that okay, this if I just put in the work, it will work out. So I ended up doing that, all right. And what ended up happening was what you see on the channel, basically like it's kind of documented, if that makes sense, right? So obviously this kind of fucked up my health, fucks up health, fucks up mental health, okay, physical health and mental health, okay. And this also, what it does is that, but it also makes you competent and hence makes you money, okay. So it's just all these things, all right. But the thing is that, and this is why the beauty of starting early is because I knew that, because I'm just 17, like when I was starting, right? Obviously, this thing, when I started e-commerce, I started this in back in December 2024, so I was like 17. So yeah. So the thing is, I knew that even if everything gets fucked up, I'm still very young to recover from it. So I kind of took the gamble, if that makes sense. And you have to take the gamble at some stage. Obviously, if you're very young, then it helps, because even if you like gain like 15, I'm not advocating for it. If you can, then obviously do it in a healthy way. But if you gain I don't know, if you gain weight and if you fuck up your mental health, it's a lot easier to recover if you're 17, 18 than if you're 50. Hopefully that makes sense, right? So I'm not advocating for it. I'm just saying that you gotta push yourself to limits that the normal population would consider to be very, very unhealthy. That's just how it is, and you're gonna burn yourself out in that process, which is exactly what I did. So what ended up happening was, once I had done this, like, I didn't really understand this, but this was early this year that I burned out really badly. Okay, I really burned out. Like, I burned out. All right. So this is me. Like, this is me. Let's me get me back the incredible drawing. Right, this was me. All right. For a moment, let's just consider that this is me, right? What the fuck? Yeah. So this was me, all happy and making money, right? But what ended up happening was, early this year, I just didn't want to work for some reasons. All right. So I just wash it off as, okay, it's just laziness and I'm procrastinating and blah blah blah. But I didn't really understand that, okay, this is not really what it is, what I'm thinking of it is. Because the thing is that past 1.5 years I was just working, 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 and working, and I had kind of pushed myself to a very, very extreme limit. So I didn't realize this what it was until what happened was, 1 month, like past 2 3 months, 3 months back, I think, yeah, I fell sick, incredibly sick. Like, I hadn't fall sick like that, like really bad. So this me goes from being incredibly happy, making money and all that, to now all of a sudden being sad, right? Being sad and being sick. All right. So now he's laying on a bed, right? All right, my incredible drawing. What the fuck, bro? So this is laying on me on a bed and trying to think, like, what the fuck is going on? Why am I sick, right? So just for a moment, this is Sovansh, right? So this is Sovansh, Sovansh, right? Yeah. So this is me, right? And I kind of had this time to rest for quite some time. Like, I felt sick for 3 4 weeks, I would say. I just couldn't do anything for some reasons. So that's when I actually thought about it, and I kind of pondered, okay, so this is what's been going on. I have been working this crazy for like 1.5 years at this point. So I'll give you some examples. So when I was in high school in 11th and 12th, like end of 11th and 12th starting. So I used to like have my high school from I would say 9:30. Like, I had to, like, the classes were from 11, but because of traffic and stuff, I had to get out at 9:30, 45 latest. And then I used to walk for like a kilometer or two. Then I used to catch ऑटो ठीक है फिर वहाँ से आई यूज टू गो लाइक 5 6 kilometers in the auto and then I used to walk like 1 2.2 kilometers and something like that. So and then the same thing like repeats in the evening as well. ठीक है. So what ended up happening was, and I'm drinking black coffee, by the way, because it's 11:36 p.m. I gotta pull an all-nighter, so yeah, please excuse me for this. I'm really very sorry for the extremely high production quality and very high drawings, but yeah, it is what it is. So what ended up happening was that I used to come back at mostly at 4:35, 5:30, something like that. So depending on when our classes ended, if they ended at like 4, then I used to be back by 5:30. If they ended up sometimes like the teacher didn't come or something like that, they ended up at 3. But most of the times, on an average, I reached by 5:30 or 6. All right. So that was average mostly, and I used to come. Then I used to be extremely tired because obviously then I used to take a nap for like 1 hour. Then I had to eat dinner because if you don't know, I was actually from Nepal, so I did my high school in Nepal, and I was staying at my family's home only. So obviously in like Nepal, there's a concept of early dinner, so you actually have dinner by 7:30 p.m. latest. So I used to have dinner then, and then I used to talk to my parents, like family time, whatever the hell. And I used to get to work. So I used to get to work, and I used to work from 9 p.m. to like 3 4 a.m. or something like that. And then I used to sleep, and I used to get up at 6 7. Then I had a tuition in the morning at 7 for physics because I didn't really understand physics. And then I also had chemistry later on, so I had like two tuitions in the day. I don't know how the fuck I managed it, to be really honest, but yeah. Basically, I was working, pushing myself to the extreme. So I was like sleeping maybe like 4 5 hours maximum. So it was like 18 19 work hours per day. something like that. I was just awake and just constantly thinking about work for some reasons, right? So because I just wanted it so bad, I just didn't want that mediocre lifestyle, right? And this is why they say that negative energy is more powerful than positive energy, because it just pushes you to the extreme that you cannot really imagine. I don't know, I was just possessed for some reasons, right? So and the similar thing ended up happening like the Q3 of last year, when I was put into college by my parents, because I didn't really want to go. That's why I say I got put into, but then I had to come to India, so I had to obviously come here. uh, I was put into college and I absolutely hated it, to be really honest. Like I went classes for 2 weeks and then I just didn't like shit, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? And then I was like, fuck it, I'm just going all in on e-commerce. If it works, it works. It doesn't, then we'll see what we do. So yeah, I just stopped going to classes. I blocked all my teachers. I blocked all the, like, everyone. Like literally, I just turned off my phone and just straight up got to working 16 to 18 hour days again. So again, like, I had this period where I was working 16 18 hours a day, then again 16 18 hours and blah blah, and then on average I think across the day it was like 12 13 hours. But yeah, it's basically pretty incredible, to be honest. So yeah, long story short, I got burned out and I realized that, and that's why I was sick. Like by sick, I had like 102.5, 103-degree fever, and I was like in bed. I had to take antibiotics, and I also had diarrhea, and it was like really bad. So yeah, and then I had the time to think about it, and obviously I didn't make any money in this period because the business basically kind of, like, I wouldn't say collapsed, but my accounts were also frozen. Because what happened was, just before this I was like scaling like crazy to like 10 15 lakhs per month, per day, sorry, 10 15 lakhs per day. And I so badly wanted to get to 100k days in USD. That's 1 crore per day, right? You can watch my other videos to know more about it. I was just kind of like speed running my way to it. And because I was just very young, I obviously didn't have a lot of tax history and blah blah. So the banks froze my account for just this incredible influx of money. So yeah, and then I had this entire month of just doing nothing and making nothing, and I was like very sad, to be honest. So yeah, it's got fucked. And then I had to take, like, literally, I wouldn't say recover, whatever. Then I used to just very unproductive for the next few weeks or whatever. When I recovered, I was just scrolling and whatever the hell. So yeah, but then again, obviously I got back into track. I finally moved into a decent place. I was staying in a PG, which was like a really bad decision, to be really honest. So after that, I really moved into a decent place in Bangalore, and since then, like, obviously it was pretty good. So long story short, what happens is that if you really want something, and if you want it bad enough, and you want it quick enough, you will have to work incredibly hard. You will have to work these many hours per day. This is very normal. There's nothing abnormal in this, and you are gonna have to do it. There's no other choice, and you will obviously eventually burn out in the process. Take care. But obviously the result is gonna be that you'll make it. And I can think of an example. So there was this president, and I heard this in a video by Charlie Morgan. So credit where it's due. So there was this president in, I think it was in US or something. So the president, he ran for president, and he actually started late. So he had to obviously campaign for the presidency. And because he was starting late, so he had to work 5 times hard to win the presidency, obviously. So he ended up winning it, but he worked so hard that the day he won the presidency, his body just collapsed, and he had to take sleep pills and like recover for like the next month or so to actually recover from burnout. All right. So the point being that you can work and you have to work, and now the point being that how do you actually work these many hours per day? How do you like focus? So the point is that you have to get rid of social media, right? You have to get rid of social media, like fuck social media. You gotta get rid of friends. You gotta get rid of um, anything that is not conducive to your work. And you can, by the way, use this application Rise. Now obviously when I didn't have money, I used this application called Clockify, which allowed me to track my workouts. But I've been using Rise since last year. It's pretty good. Basically monitors everything that you do on your computer, and it gives you a report every day. So basically I have to get rid of all these things: social media, friends. I wouldn't say like junk food, because what happens is that, and this is like what happened is, because when you cut everything off, you basically need some source of dopamine, right? So you will have to pick whatever like your source of dopamine is. It could be junk food, it could be Coke, it could be Pepsi, it could be anything. It could be music, right? It could be movies. So whatever it is, just keep one or two things like that. Just allows you to relax a bit. So for me, it was food, basically junk food. I am a bit of a foodie, right? So I cut everything off, all right. But I still ate like these two things, and this kind of gave me a bit of temporary dopamine boost during the days I was working. Okay. So this kind of helped with that, but that's just about it. I didn't really do anything else. I didn't have any of this, and yeah, just work everything, right? So this will basically do it. Just And it's as simple as just keeping your phone in a drawer or something and just locking the drawer, just adding a bit of friction so that when you get there you can actually stay focused. And for the desktop part, there's this application called Cold Turkey. I think it's pretty good. You can just block everything out, and if you put there's some settings. Obviously, if you use those settings, if you basically want to use any of the things you have blocked, you basically have to reinstall the entire operating system. Like, it's that difficult. So you can use that. But to be really honest, you don't really need it if you want it bad enough. Obviously, very very beginning, like in 2020 or whatever the hell, as I told you here, like when I was not really that, my impulses were not that controlled. I needed those kind of things, but later on, obviously, last year I didn't really have to restrict myself that much per se, because I could just work, because I just wanted to get out of that bullshit situation, right? So yeah, that's pretty much the thing. You whatever you want, just decide it. Work insanely hard, believe it's gonna happen, and you're gonna burn out. It's inevitable. You're gonna fuck up your mental health. That is also inevitable, but you're gonna have to recover. And the way you recover is by giving your body the rest and recovery that it needs. And do not demonize rest like I did. It's a very bad mistake I made. But obviously, when the time comes, you can obviously have that and rest a bit and relax a bit and work in like periods of focus. So now I just work for 4 to 6 hours per day, like deep work sessions. And I'm kind of taking a chill pill relatively. Also because I have to take it slow, because I cannot just scale a business like that, because the thing is I have to build ITR history and blah blah blah. To make sure that my accounts don't get frozen and etc etc etc. So that's also another thing. So yeah, you can do it like that. And that was basically a video. Now if you're someone who wants to start their own e-commerce business and wants to start or scale their e-commerce business, whatever it is, then there's my email in the description. You can contact me, and there's the reason why I mentioned this specifically at the end of the video, and I don't have a apply form in the description, because there are some people who don't really understand the purpose behind this. So the thing is that the more cash flow you have in the business, the better it helps. And I have the time to do it, so why not do it? So that's why I do offer one-to-one mentorships for people who want to start and grow their own e-commerce business. It's a 3 months long program, and obviously you got to have some money. Like, you got to have at least 2.5 to 3 lakhs in total, at least, to get started. Like, not just for the mentorship, like I mean in total, for the mentorship plus the e-commerce thing in total. So if you're someone who wants to do that and has a budget to do so, you can contact me on my email, and we can see how we can help you. It's a 3 months long program. If you don't get results, we will work for free till you do. It's as simple as that. All right, so it's guaranteed to get results, and people are actually making a lot of money in the program, and I really want them to succeed. So yeah, if there's something that interests you, let me know. On my email, you can contact me there, and we'll see how we can start working. All right, and that was the video. Now next video is coming on how I tried Indian dropshipping, e-commerce, whatever the hell, for some time, and it kind of changed my life. So yeah, that's the thing, and I'll mention everything in detail in that. And yeah, you can join the Discord community for free. It's like the most top tier community, I would say, because a lot of high quality people here, not some boy also और me करना है ये करना है, or no guilt tripping or sob stories or anything like that bullshit, right? We have got actual people who are making money in the field and who are like pretty good in whatever they are doing. So it's a very high quality Discord community. It's very active. You can join it, and you will get a lot of source, a lot of info, not on just in e-commerce, and a lot of things. All right. So yeah, that was the video. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.